Okay, now let's continue with answering some problems related to the topics we discussed. So let's try let's try problem 15-9. Okay, let's try problem 15-9. Find the angle of the triangles having the following vertices. It's negative 1, 1, 5, negative 1, and 4, 3. So, para mas okay yung presentation, I'll just use Desmos. Using a graphing tool, this is now the graph or the location of the points. So, yung kukunin daw natin, if these are vertices of a triangle, we need to get the angles or the interior angles. This is not specified, but I think that's what we need to compute the interior angles of this triangle. So, let me first connect these triangles. Okay, connect natin. So what we need to compute are these angles. We can do that by getting the slopes of these lines that forms the sides of this triangle. So, okay, denote this as this is our angle alpha, this is our angle beta, and this is our angle gamma na lang. Okay, so these are our angles. Now, how do we compute this? We know the formula. If we call this line 1, let's call this line 1, this line 2, and this as line 3. Let's start with alpha. To solve for alpha, we know that alpha or tangent alpha is equal to the formula that involves the slope of angle of line 3 and line 1. So if you recall, dapat nasa, okay, eto. Let's try to take a look at our formula again. Okay, this one. So dapat counterclockwise 'di ba yung pag pag measure ng line. So therefore, yung mas malaking angle dapat yung nasa left side. Okay? So ito yung formula na dapat natin gamitin. That formula. Now, so we need to compute for the slopes of line 1 and line 3. So, to solve for tangent alpha, that would be the slope of line 3 kasi nasa taas siya. Ito yung pagka-measure natin. Here to here, di ba? Okay. We'll start with slope of line 3 minus the slope of line 1 all over 1 plus M3, M1. Pwede na M1, M3. M3, M1. So, we need to compute these slopes first. Okay? So, how about if we just compute all the slopes? So, for computing of the line 1, line 2, and line 3. So, for line 1, the points are negative 1, 1, and 5, negative 1. These are the points that are connected by line 1. So, solving for the slope of line 1, that would just be rise minus 1. So, 1 minus negative 1 over negative 1 minus 5. So, that's 2 over negative 6 or negative 1/3. So, that's slope of number 1, or line 1. How about the slope of line 2? So, line 2 connects 5, negative 1, and 4, 3. So, computing for the slope of line 2, that would be rise, negative 1 minus 3 over run, 5 minus 4. So, that would become negative 4 over 1 or negative 4. So, the slope of line 2 is negative 4. So, line 3, it connects 4, 3, and negative 1, 1. So, it connects 4, 3 and negative 1, 1. So, the slope of line 3 is just equal to rise again. So, 3 minus 1 over run, 4 minus negative 1. So, that would be 2 over 5. So, the slope of the third line is 2 over 5. Okay, so we have now the slope. So let me copy that kasi malit yung screen natin. So let me copy this again. So slope of line 1 is negative 1/3. Slope of line 2 is negative 4. And slope of line 3 is 2/5. Solving for alpha. So we have tangent alpha is equal to M3 minus M1. M3 minus M1 over 1 plus M3 M1. Hence, we'll have tangent alpha is equal to M3, which is 2/5, minus M1, that's negative 1/3 over 1 plus 2/5 times negative 1/3. So we'll just use a calculator to solve this. So using our calculator app. Okay, using a calculator app to solve this, gawa na lang tayo ng equation dito. So we have, let's say, represent M3 as A. Okay, using a calculator, I'll just represent M3 and M1 by variables there is RQ. So let's say M3 is A minus M1 is B na lang over 1 plus M3 M1. So I'll just substitute values for this. So ayan, that's 2/5, and the third B is negative 1/3. Okay, yeah, it's 11 over 3. Okay, so tangent theta, alpha, tangent alpha is 11 over 13. Okay, solving for alpha, we'll just continue this. Now we know that alpha is equal to the arctangent of 11 over 13. So the arctangent, shift tan, arctangent of 11 over 13 is 40.24. 40.24 degrees. So angle alpha is 40.24 degrees. So let's proceed to the next angle. Let's close this. The next angle is angle beta. So for angle beta, it involves, or that is the angle of intersection between line 2 and line 1. But again, yung pag-measure natin is counterclockwise, diba? So from here to here, so therefore, dapat mauna si line 1. Okay? So tangent beta is equal to M1 minus M2 over 1 plus M1 M2. So we have values for this. So tangent beta is equal to M1, which is negative 1/3, minus M2, which is negative 4. So M2 is negative 4 over 1 plus negative 1/3 times negative 4. So again, using our calculator, so let's go back to this formula again. This time, our A is negative 1/3 and our B is negative 4. So that will give us 11 over 7. So tangent beta or beta is equal to the arctangent of 11 over 7. So the arctangent of 11 over 7 is 57.53 degrees. So let's proceed to the next angle. That would be angle gamma. For angle gamma is this. So that's angle of intersection between line 3 and line 2. So since counterclockwise again, ito yung direction natin. So unahin natin si line 2. So that would be M2 minus M3. So tangent gamma, pangit ng gamma. Tangent gamma is equal to M2 minus M3 over 1 plus M2 M3. And we know that M2 is negative 4 minus M3, which is, ano na yung M3? M3 is 2/5. Okay, minus 2/5. Then all over 1 plus negative 4 times 2/5. So again, using our calculator, This time our A is negative 4 and B is negative, B is 2/5. 2/5. Okay, ulitin natin ha. A is negative 4, B is positive 2/5. So the answer is 22.3. Oh, 22 over 3. Okay, so tangent gamma is at 22 over 3. So the arc tangent of 22 over 3 is ito. Therefore, gamma, which is the arc tangent of 22 over 3, is 82.23 degrees. And to check, this should these angles should be equal to 180, or the sum of these angles should be 180. So alpha plus beta plus gamma should be equal to 180 degrees. So let's try. Sana magtali siya. So 40.24 degrees plus 57.53 plus 82.23 degrees. Should be 180 degrees or very close. So 40.57.53 plus 0.23. So the answer is 180. So it's 180 degrees. So therefore, we are sure that our answers are correct. So that's it. Very easy lang. Okay, let's try to answer this next problem. Problem 15-10. The slope of the hypotenuse of an isosceles right triangle is 3. What are the slopes of the equal sides? Okay. So in this right triangle, the hypotenuse has a slope of 3. So if we plot that, huwag na lang tayo mag-plotting tool. Let's just... Okay, the slope is 3. So, assume na lang tayo. So, just to be safe, start na lang tayo at the origin. I-pass natin yung origin. Anyway, ang hinahanap sa problem is not the equation of the lines, but only the slopes. Okay? So, suppose the hypotenuse is this. So, since 3 ang kanyang slope, that would be 3 na rise. So, from here, 3 na rise. 1, 2, 3. Then, 1 na run. Because 3 is 3 over 1. So, that's rise over run. So, 1, 2, 3, and isa na run. O isang run dito. So, ito that could be the hypotenuse of that triangle. So, if it's an isosceles right triangle, that means two sides are equal. So, if two sides are equal, two angles are also equal. Okay? So, if it's a right triangle, so, eto, probably like this. Ayan. Anyway, this is not drawn accurately. This is just to illustrate what is being asked in the problem. So let's say these are the lines that forms the isosceles right triangle. Isosceles because these two parts are equal. Since ito yung dinescribe natin na hypotenuse with a slope of 3. Okay? Okay, so that also follows, or it also follows that these angles are equal. So let's call this na lang as, let's call this hypotenuse as line L, H. Okay? Line LH. Then, eto, I'll just call this line 1 and the other one as line 2. Pwedeng ganun na lang. So, line 1 and line 2 should be perpendicular because it's a right triangle. So, therefore, M1 should be negative reciprocal of the slope of line 2. Okay, so that's our relation. What else? So, if this is an isosceles triangle, this is 90 degrees. So, the remaining 90 degrees should be distributed here. So, this is 90, this is 45, this is 45. For this total to be 180. Diba? Kasi, if it's an isosceles triangle, these sides are equal and these angles should be equal. So, 180 minus 90, that's 90. Then, 90 divided by 2, that's 45. So, 45 dapat dito. Okay? 45 degrees, sorry, ulitin natin. So that's arctangent between, pwedeng dito na lang din, L2 and line of the hypotenuse. So M2 and ML. Oh no, MH. MH. So remember na since counterclockwise tayo, so ito yung mauuna. So that's line 2. Ayan. So over 1 plus M2 MH. There. So therefore, tangent 45 MN is equal to M2 over 1 plus, what is tangent 45? Tangent 45, that's opposite over, tangent 45, that's opposite over adjacent. So since these two are equal, so that's this divided by this, that's equal to 1. So tangent 45 is just equal to 1. That is equal to M2, we don't know, minus the slope of the hypotenuse, that's 3, divided by 1 plus 3 times M2. So we could now solve for M2. So this becomes 1 plus 3 M2 equals M2 minus 3. Then 2M2 equals negative 4. Tama ba? And M2 is equal to negative 2. So therefore, the slope of this line is negative 2, which is correct kasi ito yung inclination niya. It's going down. So negative ang slope. So this should be the slope of this line should be the negative reciprocal of this line because they are perpendicular. The negative reciprocal of the slope of line 2. So therefore M1, which is equal to 1 over M2, or negative 1 over M2, that's equal to negative 1 over negative 2. So M2 is just 1 half. So the slope of M2 is 1 half. So to answer this problem, what are the slopes of the equal sides? The slopes are, so here's our answer. The slopes are negative 2 and 1 half. Ganyan siya kadali. Very easy. Try to answer the next problem. This should be 15-11. So for this problem, we need to find the point of intersection of the following lines. Point of intersection, madali lang naman. That's just the common point that the two lines shares. So i-plot na lang natin. Madali lang naman ito i-plot. One way of graphing this is by using the slope-intercept form para madaling i-graph. So mag-slope-intercept form tayo. The first line is x plus 2y minus 3 equals 0. So by slope-intercept form, that would be 2y is equal to negative x plus 3. So y is equal to negative x over 2 plus 3 over 2. So that means the slope is negative 1 half and the y-intercept is 3 halves. So 3 halves is just 1 and 1 half or 1.5. So 1.5, let's say this is 1, ito yung 1, ito yung 1.5. So it will pass through this point, 1.5, then it has a slope of negative 1 half. So that means negative rise and positive run. So rise over run, 1, 2. So ito yung next point natin. So ito, this is now that line. Okay. So the other line naman, let's graph this again. 2x minus 3y plus 8 equals 0. So that's 3y equals 2x plus 8. Tama ba? Yung y lang yung na-transpose. So therefore, y is equal to 2/3 x plus 8 over 3. 8 over 3, that's roughly 2.6. Okay, that is around, let's say, this is 2. So this is 2.5, this is, wait, this is 2, this is 3, this is 2.5, so around here. Let's say around here. Then the slope is 2/3, so that means 2 rise and 3 run. So more or less ito siya. So hinahanap natin is the point of intersection. So dito sila nag-intersect. So this is the common point between them. let's call this, of course, x and y. So, x and y is the point common between these two lines. So, ano ibig sabihin nito when we say point of intersection? Okay, this is we call this line 2 and this as line 1. That means that ang x for this point, ang x ni line 1, x din ni line 2. And yung y ni line 1, y din ni line 2. Or at this point, x1 is equal to x2 and y1 is equal to y2. So that means we just need to combine these two equations or to solve these two equations simultaneously. Ganun lang siya kadali. Okay? So, to solve that, pwede tayong gumawa, we can use substitution with this. So, how about if I use x from line 1, I'll use x equal to negative 2y plus 3. So, I just transpose these 2 to the other side of the equation. Then, I'll substitute that value to x here. So, that would be 2 times x times minus 3y plus 8 equals 0. So, negative 4y plus 6 minus 3y plus 8 equals 0. Then, that's negative 7y plus 14 equals 0. So, therefore, y is equal to negative 14 over 7. That's positive 2. Tama ba? Okay, that's positive 2. So, y is 2. How about x? So, since x is equal to negative 2y plus 3, so x is negative 2 times 2 plus 3. That's negative 4 plus 3, that's negative 1. So, therefore, the point of intersection is at negative 1, 2. So, therefore, ang coordinates dito is negative 1, 2. So, medyo pasok din sa drawing. Medyo accurate konti yung drawing natin. So, this is negative 1 and this is 2. Very easy. Okay, let's now proceed to this next problem. This is already problem 15-12. Tama ba? 11 ba yung una? Ayan, 12 na. 15-12. What is the normal form? Uy, so, yung hanapin natin is the normal form of the line 5x minus 12y plus 26 equals 0. And how far is it from the origin? Okay. So, ang gagawin natin dito in order to solve this, we'll discuss first the normal equation of a line. Hindi pa pala ito na-discuss. Normal for line. So, illustrate natin siya this way. Okay, suppose we have this line oriented that way. So, let's call this line L. Let's call that line L. And if we draw the normal intersection, that means from the origin, we'll draw a line perpendicular to, or a line segment perpendicular to that line. Ito. So, this will represent now the distance of that line L, to the origin. Okay? By the way, when we say distance from any point of a line or a distance of a line to any point, that means the perpendicular distance kasi kailangan 90 degrees siya because that would be the shortest distance. Kasi kung di siya 90 degrees, that would be, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. So, maraming options. So, when we are talking about distance of a point to a line or between two lines na parallel, we are talking about the perpendicular distance. Ito. Okay. So, ito siya. Let's denote that. Ito na lang. Let's change the color. Ito. Yan. Let's denote this as small letter P. So, that is the normal intersection. So, it will intersect here. Tapos, it starts from the origin. Okay. Now, the intersection, let's call that point N. Okay. Then, let's introduce an angle in which this point P forms with the horizontal axis. So, ito, let's call that alpha. So, this angle is alpha. Okay? So, from here, we know trigonometry. Tapos na tayo sa trigonometry, we can now get the value of this and this. That would be the coordinates of point N. at the point of intersection or point N. Okay? So if you recall our trigonometry, lesson in trigonometry, if you extend this. So this distance is P cosine alpha. This distance is P sine alpha. So therefore, the coordinates here is P cosine alpha, P sine alpha. Okay. Now, since this point is still xy, right? Appeal man siya or kasali siya dito sa point. Again, as I've said in the previous examples, all points here are xy. So, ito siya, xy pa rin to siya. And if you recall again, point slope form or, yeah, we could do that. By the way, we can determine the slope of this line, di ba? Because given naman yung tangent dito, given naman yung angle dito or describe yung angle dito as alpha. And we know that the slope is just tangent alpha, di ba? So, slope of P is tangent alpha. Ayun. So, therefore, the slope of line L should be negative 1 over tangent alpha because they are perpendicular. So, negative reciprocal ang slope ng line. Okay. Now, since we know the slope-intercept form, point slope form pala. Point slope form yung gagamitin natin. So, that would be y minus y1 plus or equal to the slope times x minus x1. So in this case, we are looking at this point. So this would be our x1, y1. Okay? So therefore, we'll have y minus p sine alpha equal to m, which is negative 1 over tangent alpha, x minus p cosine alpha. So this equation describes line L. Okay, then we'll need to simplify this. How about we'll just multiply this kaagad by tangent alpha. Then ito, multiply natin negative 1 dito. That would be negative x plus p cosine alpha. Okay. Now, that would become x plus, so eto, I'll just transpose this to the other side, then I'll distribute tangent. So plus y tangent alpha minus p sine alpha tangent alpha equals p cosine alpha. Okay. So simplify further, tangent alpha, that would be equal to p sine alpha tangent alpha plus p cosine alpha. So x plus y tangent alpha is equal to, factor out p. And recall that tangent is sine over cosine. So this is sine squared alpha over cosine alpha plus cosine alpha. Okay, now if we combine these two, x plus y tangent alpha, that would be p times LCD is cosine alpha, so sine squared alpha plus cosine alpha divided by 1 is cosine alpha times cosine alpha, cosine squared alpha. And we know that this is equal to 1 by Pythagorean identity, di ba? So now we'll have x plus y tangent alpha equals p over cosine alpha na lang. Then eto, just transpose this to the other side again. We'll have x cosine alpha plus y, then tangent times cosine. Remember that tangent is sine over cosine. Then if you multiply that with cosine, makancel out. Sine yung may iwan. So that's why sine alpha equals p. So this is the normal form of the line. Normal form of the line. So kung that is if given ang angle. Pero in this particular problem, di kasi given yung angle. Walang angle na binigay dito. O pwede tayong kumuha ng angle of inclination by using the slope, pero there's another way of solving this. Okay, so how do we, faster way of solving this, i-derive na lang natin. Okay, so remember that this equation describes this line. Okay, and we could also describe the same line as, recall natin that the general equation of a line is ax plus by equals c. Oh no, general equation plus c equals 0. Or standard ax plus by equals negative c. So let's say we are dealing with the same line. Ito pa rin. So this line is still line, and this line, this line is still this line, as well as this line, that's still this line. So meaning, eto sila are two forms or two ways of writing the same line. So that means that these lines are, the coefficients are proportional. Ano ibig kong sabihin? Okay. Example, you have an equation of a line. This is just an example. X plus 2y equals 1. This line is actually the same as, let's say, 2x plus 4y equals 2. Diba? So, we just multiplied this by 2, all terms. So, eto na siya. So, this line is still this line. Diba? To prove that, show natin sa Desmos. Okay? So, we have x plus 2y equals 1. Oh, that line. And if you have 2x plus 4y equals 2, that is the same line. Ayan, naging blue lang siya. Ayan, oh. Okay? So, we are looking at the same line. So, balikan natin to. So, that means, ano ibig sabihin nun? Meron siyang common factor na 2. Diba? Or, the coefficients are proportional. For example, kunin natin yung ratio ng coefficients ng x, that would be 1 over 2. Coefficients ng y, that would be 2 over 4, which is equal to 1 over 2 gihapon. And the constants, that's 1 over 2 gihapon. Diba? So, the coefficients should be, or if we are looking at the same line, the coefficients are proportional. So, meaning, if we are describing the same line L, we are describing it as in normal form. So x cosine alpha plus y sine alpha equals p. Okay. And another form, a x plus by equals to negative c. That means that the ratio of their coefficient, ito, yung mga coefficient niya, are equal. So, therefore, the ratio of cosine alpha over A is proportional to the ratio of sine alpha over B, and is proportional to the ratio of negative P over C. So, since they are all equal, let us introduce a proportionality constant. So, let K be proportionality constant. So that means if we let cosine alpha over A equal to K, it also means that sine alpha over B is also K, and negative P over C is also K. So from here, that means cosine alpha equals Ka, and sine alpha is Kb, and negative P, or pwede din naman P is equal to negative CK. Okay. So if you recall, diba, if we have sine squared alpha plus cosine squared alpha, the result is 1. So therefore, if we square this, KB squared plus the square of this, KA squared, that is equal to 1 because this is sine alpha, cosine alpha. So sine squared alpha, okay, and cosine squared alpha is equal to 1. So k squared b squared plus k squared a squared is equal to 1. So k squared times baliktarin na lang natin a squared plus b squared na lang. Although it's b squared plus a squared. So commutative property. So that's equal to 1. So k squared is equal to 1 over a squared plus b squared. Then, therefore, k is equal to 1 over the square root of, because the square root of 1 is just 1, the square root of a squared plus b squared. That's the value of k. Now, kung nasolve na si k, that means cosine alpha. Remember that cosine alpha is ka. So, therefore, cosine alpha is a over, or k times a. So that means a over square root of a squared plus b squared. And sine alpha is, sine alpha is kb. So that's b over square root of a squared plus b squared. And we have c, or p. P is negative c k. So k is 1 over square root of a squared plus b squared. So therefore, recall again that the normal form of a line is x cosine alpha plus y sine alpha equals p. So therefore, since cosine alpha is equal to this, and sine alpha is equal to this, and p is equal to this, substitute na lang natin. That means ax over square root of a squared plus b squared plus bx over square root of a squared plus b squared is equal to negative c over square root of a squared plus b squared. Ayan, so we could get the normal equation of the line. Instead of using this, we could just use this. Okay? So remember that a, b, and c, these are the coefficients, and c is the constant, diba? So a and b are the coefficients of x and y. Ay, sorry. This should be y. by. Ayan, I'm sorry. ax. Okay. Now, to answer this problem, we need to get the normal form of 5x plus minus 12y plus 26 equals 0. So this is the standard form. Now that means a is 5. No, this is the general form. That means a is 5, b is negative 12, and c is 26. Okay, remember that the general form is ax plus by plus c equals 0. Okay. So solving for the square root of a squared plus b squared, that's too easy. That would be square root of 5 squared plus negative 12 squared. Okay. So using calculator, okay, so that's 13. Yun lang. So therefore, eto sila, i-divide lang natin to by 13 lahat. Okay, so that would be 5 over 13x minus 12 over 13y equals negative 26 over 13. And remember that this is p, diba? Ayan o. This is p. So, therefore, and p is eto. P is the distance. Since we are dealing with distance, so absolute value na lang. Anyway, yung negative or positive, that's that it indicates kung asan yung line natin. Is it above the reference point or below the reference point? So yung reference point natin is below, that's why yung negative yung lumabas dyan. Okay, anyway, origin pala, nasa taas yung sa origin. Okay, so therefore, P is equal to absolute value of 26 over 13. Oh, sorry. Absolute value of negative 26 over 13. So that's 26 over 13 units. That is the distance of the line from the origin. So ganun lang siya kadali. So this is our answers. These are our answers. This and this. Okay, before we proceed to the next problem, to the last problem, so I want to introduce this problem to you. Um, Let me read first. A line segment has its ends on the coordinate axis and forms with them a triangle of area 36. Okay, so drawing natin ha. So this is the axis, then may line segments ko no na yung end niya daw nasa coordinate axis. Let's say nasa positive both. So eto. So it forms a triangle with area 36 square units. If the segment passes through the point 52, so it passes through a point 52. So let's say 52 is around here. This is 52. It passes through here. What is its slope? So what is the slope of this line? So yun yung tinatanong. So ang gagawin nyo, if you are truly watching these bridging courses, I want you to, doon na sa Facebook group natin, when you comment done, you write also the answer for this problem. So you write done, then whatever is your answer for this problem. Yeah. And huwag kayong maingay sa iba. Tingnan natin kung ma-confuse sila bakit may sunod na number. It's probably hindi sila nanood ng video. Nag-done lang. Anyway, let's proceed to the next problem. This is problem 15-13. Find the equations of the lines containing the points 4, 7 and passing at a distance 1 from the origin. Okay, bakit kaya sinabing equations of the lines? Meaning, di lang isa yung possible answers. Let us take a look. So, the lines passes through 4, 7. So, i-plot muna natin yung 4, 7. Let's say, so dito, this is 4, 7. So, ang distance niya is 1 unit from the origin. So, there are, ano yung mga possible dito? Pwedeng ito siya, Ito. Then, yung distance niya is 1 unit from the origin. Pwede din siya, a line that passes through here, pero dito dyan banda. Then, yung distance niya from the origin is 1 unit. So, we can draw or we could assume that there might be two answers for this problem. Okay? So, ano ang ating gagawin? Again, let us look at a discussion about normal form of a line. The distance from the origin to the line is denoted as P. And P is equal to negative C. By the way, ito. Negative C over square root of A squared plus B squared. Then, yung negative C kasi, remember that P is a distance. So, distance should be absolute value. Pero bakit significant yung negative C dyan? Tsaka din sasagot. Yung value kasi, if it's positive or negative, that indicates if the point is, or the reference point, or the line na lang. The line is above the origin or below the origin. So, eto kasi, it will yield two answers naman dito because we take the square root. It would be positive and negative. So, depende kung asan yung position ng line or asan yung location ng line kung gagamitan natin siya ng positive value or ng negative value. Anyway, sige. Tingnan natin dito. So, P is equal to 1, which is equal to negative C over square root of A squared plus B squared. Okay, now, we know that the general equation of a line is AX plus BY plus C is equal to 0. Okay? So, pwede natin gawin dito is, ano ba yung mga condition natin na isa pang condition or equation of a line para makaka-create tayo ng another solution because looking at this, we still don't have the values of C, A, and B. So, how could we change this into one equation na lang? So, to answer that, we could use the point slope form. Diba? Given ang point pero unknown ang slope. Okay, remember that y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So, yung x1, y1 natin dito is the given point 4, 7. That means y minus 7 is equal to m times x minus 4. Okay? So y minus 7 is equal to mx minus 4m. So if we rearrange this in general form like this, then we could get the corresponding values for a, b, and c, for the coefficients a, b, and c. So naisa na lang yung yung unknown niya, naging m na lang. Let me illustrate that. So if I rearrange this, that would be mx minus y. So eto, I transpose this to the other side. Then I'll transform this also. So that would be negative 4m plus 7 equal to 0. So how about if I rewrite this like so? For negative times the quantity 4m minus 7. O, ganyan na lang. So therefore, eto na, general form na siya, ax plus by plus c equals 0. Wherein our a is m, our b is negative 1, and c is negative 4m minus 7, or the quantity 4m minus 7. And recall again that negative c over square root of a squared plus b squared is equal to 1. So therefore, if we equate that, negative c is, we just cancel out negative here, negative c would be 4m minus 7 divided by the square root of a squared plus b squared. That's equal to 1. So transpose this to the other side, that would be 4m minus 7 equals square root of m squared plus 1. Then square both sides, 4m minus 7 squared equals m squared plus 1. So you can continue the solution for this using, simplify this and you'll get a quadratic equation. Then you can use the quadratic formula or completing the squares in order to get the values of m. So we'll be expecting two values of m. Okay? Pero just to cut our solution short, let's just use a calculator for this. Okay? So let's use a calculator. So ito yon. So let's say ang m sa calculator gawin nating x, 4x minus 7 squared. That's equal to m squared plus 1. Sorry, plus 1. Then shift solve. Ito. So we have two values of m. So the values of m are 4/3 and 12/5. Okay, yun lang. So therefore, since meron na tayong, since we have y is equal to, y minus 7 equal to m times x minus 4, so when m is equal to 4/3, so we'll have y minus 7 equals 4/3 of x minus 4. So simplify that, 3y minus 21, that's equal to 4x minus 16. So 4x minus 3y equals, so that's 16 plus 16 minus 21, so equals negative 5. So equals negative 5. Okay. Now, when m is equal to 12 over 5, we have y minus 7 equal to m, which is 12 over 5 x minus 4. So, multiply by 5 both sides. So, we have 5y minus 35 is equal to 12x minus 48. So, 12x minus 5y equals, that would be negative 35 plus 48. So, that's 13. So 12x minus 5y equals 13. So these are now our answers. This one and this one. So let us try to take a look at that sa ating tool. Okay. Let me sit side by side here. So the given point was 4, 7. It's located here. Ayan. Then, eto na siyang points. I mean, the lines are 4x minus 3y equals negative 5. So, that line, so it precisely passes to the given point. And 12x minus 5y equals 13. So, ayan. Ito. So, these are the answers. So, both of this line has a distance of 1 unit from the origin. Ayan. So, don't forget about your assignment. So, after viewing this video, you just comment at the dun sa group, Facebook group natin, you comment done and the answer for this problem. Yun lang. Thank you so much.